This is one of the accounts of Pastor Chris concerning music ministers. Listen.
Church, what is done in the world? No. Has cheated the church like from the music, I don't know whether to call it industry. I'm telling you.
So in his opinion, the music industry has come under attack squarely here in Nigeria because of the charges they place on churches before they can perform. And this attack has come from major pastors in Nigeria. Now we have Pastor Chris because he has been the one in the front line making sure that this music industry have a footing in the church. But at the long run, he has discovered over time that these music ministers have become a burden, have become a devilish merchant in the church, where they lay charges, exorbitant charges, stretching from hotel bills, food they will eat, their entourage, and the rest of them. It didn't end with Pastor Chris. We still have Pastor Femi Lazarus, who is famous in Lagos, who has also called out some music ministers. In fact, there is a music minister who has been at loggerheads with Femi Lazarus because he was assumed by one of these pastors as being a gospel music minister, and was invited to the church where he ministered, and he charged according to what he think is okay for him based on his charges. But now the slip is the invoice is in the public, and this supposed gospel musician has come out on Femi Lazarus, telling him that, hey, I'm not a gospel musician like you think. I'm just a minister, and I'm going to charge according to what I deem fit. But I'm going to play this before I go into the record of Femi Lazarus and the invoice. He was made public and he was announcing it. But let me receive this message from Pastor Chris, and you will judge for yourself. You see, what he has just said is that some of these gospel artists comes into the church, they come in with nothing, virtually without any skills. They began to grow in the church over time and acquire skills to themselves. When they acquire these skills, they determine their way. It's either they go into the world and begin to, have some worldly music and forget anything that has to do with the church. I agree with him on this aspect. Or they become rebels in the church, charging the same church that have made them who they are as a gospel musician. Or they use the opportunity to start a church, meaning now they've been called by God to be a minister. I can give you an example of a popular minister in Uganda who was initially a gospel musician. He was a gospel musician before he started his church. There's nothing wrong with that. Ministry is ministry. It's all about what you give out in the spirit realm, how you're able to edify the soul and increase the body of Christ.
Make money. I've told you, don't give them any chance anymore. Otherwise, they'll go to hell. I'm trying to save them.
I would disagree with Pastor Chris at this point. There's no need for call for threats that someone is going to go to hell because he was given a chance in a church. That is not the blueprint. That is not the yardstick to measure who goes to hell or who goes to heaven. But the edification of the ministry is what we're talking about. If it's not in line, then the ministry should make effort to purge the church of these gospel musicians who have become merchants. I want them to really define who they are. Are they just ministers, or they are there to grow the church with their gifts? Because we've had a case of someone whom mistakenly people have thought that he's a gospel musician who ministered, I think it's Dakolo or something, who has ministered in some churches and has put up his charge, because sometimes you can't draw the line between his song being a worldly music or a gospel music. But thank God, in this controversy, in the midst of this controversy, he has come out to make it clear that he is not a gospel musician and should not be mistaken for such. So we're going to play this video, then we'll go back to Lazarus.
Many of the sing.
I want to read out this to you because the Bible is very clear. In the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 7, it says, and I read, "And in the same house remain, eating and drinking such things as they give, for the laborer is worthy of his hire. Go not from house to house." This is Paul talking in the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 7. It says, whatever they offer you in the house of God, when you come for ministration, that you should eat and drink of it. That you should not go from house to house looking for what to eat. For a laborer is worthy of his wages. He went on to say, and into whatsoever city ye enter, and they receive you, eat such things as are set before you. What I'm trying to bring out in this scripture is the aspect of gospel musicians coming up with charges is unbiblical. It's not. So, if that is the case, what it then means is they are all getting it wrong. You can only take from what has been offered to you. What has been offered to you by the church. Not what charge you are going to put. I'm going to read for you 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verse 8. But I'll start from 7. For yourselves know how ye ought to follow us. This is Paul talking to the Thessalonians. You should know how to follow us. For we behaved not ourselves disorderly among you. Neither did we eat any man's bread for naught, but wrought with labor and travailed night and day, that we may not be chargeable to any of you, not because we have no power, but to make ourselves an example unto you to follow. Paul said, and I explained, that we have not been lazy. Look at our fruits. We have been hardworking. We have not been idle. Paul was a tent maker. We have not put our bills on you. Even though we have the power, but we did not do that. So these are the footsteps that gospel musicians should follow. I will say this after I've played this video of Lazarus on the issue of, let's listen to him.
This is the invoice. So this is it. Let me read what is there. Minister will be accompanied with a minimum of 40 persons. They will all return the day after the event. All right, 4 male members, travel arrangement. Flight will be booked for both the outbound and return journeys. Artists will fly first class compulsory. Team will fly economy. Hotel reservation must be covered by the church. Executive suite for the minister. 2 executive rooms for the 4 meals. Meal must be provided for minister and the accompanying person. Preference will be given to Nigerian cuisine. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Honorarium, listen, $10,000. Mode of payment, a non-refundable 50% payment has to be made before we can have this event on our calendar. The balance of 50% must be made 2 days before the event. Thank you. May God bless you. Let me say, it's the word honorarium. I want the media to project.
So this is the Pastor Femi Lazarus, who is giving the account of one of the charges by the so-called gospel artist. Here is talking about charges for hotel, his escort, first class, luxury apartment, and what have you, and how the payment will be made. In fact, payment is made up front. Payments are made up front. There's nothing like, excuse me, there's nothing like that. So that is why Pastor Chris says, once the gospel artist finishes in a particular church, he moves to the next church immediately, because it's all about the money. Nobody is interested in any other thing apart from the money. Let me play you a second video where
to project an invoice. I don't know what to call it, of a music minister in Nigeria. This is the invoice. So this is it. Let me read what is there. Minister will be accompanied with a minimum of 40 persons. They will all return the day after the event. All right, 4 male members, travel arrangement, flight booked for both the outbound and return journeys. Artists will fly first class compulsory. Team will fly economy. Hotel reservation must be covered by the church. Executive suite for the minister. 2 executive rooms for the 4 meals. Meal must be provided for minister and the accompanying person. Preference will be given to Nigerian cuisine. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Honorarium, listen, $10,000. Mode of payment, a non-refundable 50% payment has to be made before we can have this event on our calendar. The payment must be made 2 days before the event. Thank you. May God bless you. The mistake on that stuff.
he made it clear.
I want the media to project an invoice. I don't know what to call it, of a music minister in Nigeria. This is the invoice. So this is it. Let me read what is there. Minister will be accompanied with a minimum of 40 persons. They will all return the day after the event. All right, 4 male members, travel arrangement. Flight will be booked for both the outbound and return journeys. Artists will fly first.
And what not to be charged. One, the charges in church should be based on the offering. Any music minister that is coming, he is coming to minister to the people. Let him take from the offering that will be offered that day. The entire offering for that day should be given to him. The entire offering for that very day should be given to the minister. So the people who are coming for the ministration should prepare to give willingly, without limits, without being compelled, but should have in mind that the laborer deserves his wages. I'm listening to some of the pastors who are talking. Nobody is governing them. Nobody is challenging how they spend their own money. The same thing is applicable to them. They should have a council that pays them. And no member of any church, general overseer or pastor, that should receive more than what the salary earner of that church, the highest salary earner, the digit that person is, a pastor should not receive more than that amount. I give you an instance. If they have in a church, for instance, members, and they check through all the members, and they discover that, okay, this member earns 3 digits, this member earns 4 digits in salary. Now, the highest earning member, the pastor should just earn a little above that person or exactly that amount. You should not have a situation whereby a pastor of a church will earn exorbitantly more than the highest salary earner of that church. That should not be done at all. For gospel musicians, their earning should be squarely based on the salary, based on the offerings that are offered that day of the ministration. The salary, the offering and seed should be put together and be given to the minister who ministered for that day. I hope I'm communicating. I will go through it again. For music minister, the solution is any ministration you are going to have, the seeds and the offerings should be given to the gospel artists. The seed and the offering should be given to the gospel artists. Clearly, it is offering, not offering that has been gathered for several years, that we put together and you charge the person in a currency like dollars, and they have to package it with so many persons suffering in the same church, having nothing to eat for that day. You have not even changed their life in any way. Just because you have offered melody, they can get it in a secular world. There are some melodies that are there in the secular world they can get, and they are happy, and their depression is off, and the rest of them. Watch out for more videos. Follow this channel if you want to get more videos as they come up live. Thank you and remain blessed.